former heavyweight champion Andy Ruiz, in this Boxing Scene article here, has basically been talking about his big appetite to bounce back in 2024. So obviously he's going to come to the end of this calendar year, 2023. He will not have had a professional fight. He will not have had any fight of any sorts. His last time out was September last year, where he fought Luis Ortiz, an ancient Luis Ortiz. And prior to that, it was 2021 against Chris Arreola. And then you want to go further back now, you have to go back to December 2019. So over the course of the last 4 years, I know we had 3 fights in the calendar year of 2019, but since the Joshua fight 4 years ago nearly, he's had two fights. Just two, no more, no less. 2 fights, which is not good enough, really. It really isn't for someone of Andy Ruiz's caliber, because he is a very good fighter. He has a lot to offer the division. He talks about having a big appetite to bounce back. Well, he's got a big appetite, certainly, but to bounce back in boxing, that I do not know. Because it seems like since he's got that money for those 2 Joshua fights, it's almost like he doesn't even want to know. He'll fight, say, the Chris Arreolas, the Luis Ortiz, if there's a lot of money on the line, but the same applies to the other contenders. The rumour mill was that he was one of the opponents listed for Tyson Fury before the Ngannou fight happened, and the rumour mill is that he priced himself out. I could easily foresee that. I could easily foresee him doing that. That's one of the few times where I think, probably Team Fury probably were telling the truth. But he's mentioning names because obviously he plans on coming back to the ring next year. He's mentioned, well, there's 4 names there, but only 3 of them that he's, by his own admission, serious about. Zhang, Wilder, and Joshua for a trilogy fight. I'm going to quote him directly here. This is what he said to Boxing Scene. He said, I think Zhang did an awesome job. Joe Joyce is like a robot. He just throws punches and doesn't even move. I think Zhang is a really good fighter. That's a fight that I'll take too. Ruiz actually did face Zhang in Olympic trials in 2009. He said, I lost a decision. I think I did really well, but they gave him the fight. Interesting. He also says about Anthony Joshua, he says, when I fought the rematch, I wasn't good. I was overweight. You're telling me. I forgot everything that I was doing. Now it's a whole different ball game. All I want to do is just show my talent, and everyone is going to know who the heck Andy Ruiz Jr. is. Of course I'll head over there, referring to the UK. I don't think they want the fight. I think Eddie Hearn is already traumatized. He doesn't even want to fight Joshua with anyone good unless he's trying to get his money. He also said, and this is an interesting one here, it says, one fight Ruiz is not looking forward to, however, is a fight with heavyweight contender Charles Martin. Both PBC, so maybe, whatever happens with PBC in the new year, whenever they get a new partner, whoever they go with in terms of broadcasting, could be a fight there. But he says, he tried to call me out. I want to fight the fat boy. Come on, man. I can't go backwards. I beat the guy that beat him. So there's no point. I need to get somebody else. Somebody that will be good for me. I beat his something in sparring with one hand when I was hurt. That's what Andy Ruiz has to say. He's also mentioned Deontay Wilder. I just want to touch on Charles Martin. I wouldn't have that much of an issue, to be honest with you, with Andy Ruiz facing Charles Martin if he has a comeback fight before going in at the deep end. I'll tell you why, because if facing he definitely didn't face Chris Algieri. Chris Arreola, I hope I didn't say him earlier in the video, but Chris Arreola, if you could face him April 2021, I'm not sure if that was on pay-per-view or not. I'm not 100% sure. I don't think it was, but you can correct me. No, I think it was actually. If you could face him on pay-per-view, right, Chris Arreola, who had retired, I think 2 or 3 times already in his career prior to facing Andy Ruiz, he had never, even in his prime, was never an amazing heavyweight. Charles Martin, he had a very short reign as heavyweight champion. He lost it fairly quickly. He won it on an injury, to be fair. But still, in all of his losses, apart from the Joshua loss, he's been game. He's come to fight. Gave a good account of himself against Kalnacki. Lost to Luis Ortiz fight more than Ortiz won it. And obviously against Jared Anderson, took that fight on short notice. And again, gave a good account of himself. Lost, Anderson won it clearly, but didn't show any quit. Really came to fight. So Charles Martin, I don't necessarily see that for some reason as necessarily a horrible fight. If they put it on pay-per-view, no. But in terms of the fight, it's not that bad. I don't think, really, in the grand scheme of things. In terms of Zhilei Zhang, I mean, he's one of the few who's mentioning Zhilei Zhang, to be fair. He is someone who, unless you absolutely have to, most people ain't going to fight him. You know, in China, yeah, I'm sure he'd make you a lot of money. But in the UK, US, would he really bring money to the table? Unless it's being backed by some guys over in China to fight in the US or UK, I doubt it. He's a weird one because he doesn't. You see Zhilei Zhang, he didn't look like much in his career, really, until he fought Hrgovic, and then you're like, oh wow, there's something there. And the way he dealt with Joe Joyce, I mean, it puts the Hrgovic performance in very good light. It really does. Whether you think Hrgovic won it or not, deserved to win it or not, that's kind of an irrelevancy when you think Hrgovic and Joyce. You know, people were rating Joyce there, Hrgovic there, and Hrgovic, you know, went the distance. He did win rounds in his own right. He was dropped, but it shouldn't have really been called a knockdown. Joe Joyce got taken out twice by Zhilei Zhang. Twice. Second time was even more clinical. So not many are mentioning his name. Very big puncher is Zhilei Zhang. Him against Ruiz, I'd like to see that. I wouldn't really like to see a Joshua fight again, just for the simple reason I've seen it twice already. Joshua knows how to beat Andy Ruiz. The blueprint is there. You don't need to go watch what Joseph Parker did. The blueprint is there to beat Andy Ruiz. Ruiz is a shorter heavyweight. He has fast hands but slow feet. He doesn't move his head enough. And the way he's been looking, especially like in the Arreola fight, that punch resistance, which is so good, didn't look particularly amazing against Chris Arreola. He really didn't look good in that fight. So again, the hunger, is it there? He says it is, but I doubt it. And against Wilder, yeah, that was one fight he did seem keen on this year. The WBC didn't help Andy Ruiz in that situation. You know, they didn't even order a purse bid when negotiations were breaking down. And then, you know, when they talk about mandatories, you know, WBC and mandatory in any division is a dirty word. You know, unless your name is Artur Beterbiev, in which case, you know, chuck as many mandatories on you as you can, or your name is Savannah Marshall, chuck as many mandatories on you as you can. But if, you know, if your name is Tyson Fury, Charlo, Canelo, mandatory, that's absurd. You know, imagine them giving Canelo or Charlo or Fury a mandatory. All right, does Beterbiev get, oh no, you've already fought mandatory, right, let's get the next one. That's literally, yeah, that's the WBC in a nutshell. So that is what Andy Ruiz says in terms of his comeback. Look, I like Andy Ruiz. I like watching Andy Ruiz. I think he's fun to watch. I think he has a lot to offer the heavyweight division. But in terms of the Ruiz of, say, 2018, 2019, not even that he's regressed physically. Some could argue he has. But that hunger to just go in there and compete and fight like a hungry fighter. I know we're saying that for Andy Ruiz, but you know what I mean. A fighter who is hungry to get into big fights, to go place in the heavyweight division, to show that he deserves to be there. I don't think he has that hunger. I think his hunger now is just to get paid, make money and get paid. I think he's done what he's wanted to do. He's set himself up for life. He's become heavyweight champion. Now it's just a case of, right, how much money can I make before going? I think that's all Andy Ruiz is looking for, truth be told. It's the way it seems. Anyway, you know, you fought since December 2019. You fought twice. That's 4 years. You fought twice. That's just not enough. And against subpar opposition too. You know, Ortiz, so you want to say about him, Ortiz is old as dirt at this point. He really is. Arreola was never that good, even in his prime. It's never that good. If Chris Arreola, prime Chris Arreola, was around today, mark my words, he would not even trouble the top 10 heavyweight. He wouldn't. Prime Chris Arreola, you're talking 09 to 2014, 2010, 2014, that kind of space. He wouldn't even trouble the top 10 of the heavyweight division today, in my opinion. Wouldn't even trouble them. You fought him in 2021. There you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed the video, people. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. I will chat to you tomorrow, most likely, unless some other news comes out for midweek report. So until then, peace.